last week was gentle compared to what we're dealing with this week. We have a fair amount of transits, many of which are air placements. Still, we're dealing with a lot of this air energy, dealing with our relationships, with our communities, with our communication, with progression. Let's get straight into it. There's a lot to go through. We've got quite a few this week. Let's go. So starting on Monday, October 17th, we have the Sun in Libra square Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto's been in Capricorn for about 13 years. This is no new energy. It's been asking us to transform the systems upon which our foundation is built. So knowing where Pluto is transiting through your chart, aka where Capricorn is, will be very helpful so that you know what it is you're transforming through, what it is you're breaking down, what it is that you need to reconstruct in a way. So having to tear something down in order to build something better. Also, our ideas about money, about society, about how we can attain our goals, that's really at play here. So the Sun in Libra squaring means they're at a 90-degree angle. So both of these are cardinal signs. We've got Libra, which is cardinal, and Capricorn, which is cardinal. And so they're making a square to each other, which is this tense energy. There may be a tendency to avoid this energy of not wanting to look at what's in front of you, not wanting to look at the changes that you need to make, the deep transformation or the deep healing that needs to be done in how you attain your goals, in the society that you live in the foundation, the structure. That earth energy of Capricorn is really being highlighted with Pluto right now. And so the Sun squaring it, there's this want to just live joyfully in our relationships, in our partnerships with other people, to live with joy in that way, to let our relationships drive us forward. Suddenly you're being asked to face this healing that you need to do. And there could definitely be some of you out there who are trying to avoid that energy, who are trying to avoid the transformation because we're comfortable with what we have right now. Both of these planets really want to lead because they're cardinal, but only one can really take that ownership of action. So it's up to you to decide whether or not you are willing to look at what needs deep change in your life and how we can evolve through this. That's a huge word for Pluto, is evolution, growth, transformation, and healing. These four ideas, these four concepts are really what Pluto is about. So the Sun, the way that we choose to live, our drive, our creativity, our joy, is being met head on by Pluto and being asked to really look at the deep change that needs to be made. So that is October 17th. That is Monday, Sun square Pluto. On to the next. Then we come to October 18th, which is Tuesday, which I am calling the doozy of the week this week, because we do have quite a lot of energy. And on this day, two planets are going from retrograde and they are stationing direct, which to a lot of us sounds like music to our ears. Mercury retrograde will be ending on October 18th. And where a lot of people have fear around Mercury retrograde, I have reverence and serenity in a way, because it's finally a time for us to sit back and reflect on all of the things that need to be reviewed. Before the 18th, I urge you to look at what needed to be reflected upon. What systems, what relationships are no longer serving you that you're still holding on to, and look at why you're holding on to them. What about them still gives you energy or still gives you joy? Or is it just that you're almost addicted to the way that you once were with this person? So a release of relationships might come in a rush on the 18th, because suddenly Mercury is going direct and things might feel a little bit clearer for you. Communication might come a little bit more smoothly. This is a time for us to look at what we did for the last 3 weeks. How did we review? How did we reassess? How did we go back to the drawing board and create fresh ideas that maybe were a little stagnant before? And now, what actions can we take? What forms of communications can we begin? What sort of relationships can we start now that Mercury is stationing direct? Not only is Mercury stationing direct on this day, but Jupiter is as well. Jupiter has been retrograde since June 20th, and I think Jupiter retrograde gave a lot of us the perspective that we needed on our belief systems, on what we truly felt we needed to educate ourselves on where we want to travel even. But a lot of it has to do with how our faith plays into our lives. Jupiter was in Pisces for a hot second there, and it was a little sneak peek to what we'll be experiencing when Jupiter does go into Pisces next year, or near the end of December of this year, I'm pretty certain. So at 1:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on October 18th, this is when Jupiter is finally allowing us to use all of that reflective energy that we used, all of that inner expansion that we've experienced, to really use it and to rush forward. And it's in the sign of Aquarius, of progress, of astrology, of those oddball moments that you can't predict, of unpredictability. And that is why I'm calling this month, October 2021, a gust of wind, because we have all of these planets that were retrograde now stationing direct, many of which are in air signs. So all of a sudden we get this whoosh, this relief that we've done all the review, all the work of reflection that we needed to do, and now we suddenly get to take action with it all. So not only is Jupiter going direct on this day, we also have Mars trine Jupiter. Mars is in Libra, Jupiter is in Aquarius. And so Mars is this planet of action, of confrontation, of aggression, of sex. So when Jupiter goes direct and Mars making that trine to it, this is just an amazing time to take direct action. Choose to move forward in a way that aligns with your beliefs, that aligns with your need to experience more, with your need to open up your mind and broaden your horizons. The 18th is going to be a sudden relief. This could be a really great time for finally taking action and walking up to somebody and creating a relationship out of nowhere, making that unpredictable approach to somebody to build a relationship. This transit on this day is fairly easy. It's fairly kind and nice. However, the rest of the week is actually giving us a lot of tension and a lot of difficulty in a way, because there's all of these squares and oppositions of having to see the other side, of having to be forced to try something else because what you're doing isn't working. Which brings me to the next transit. On October 20th, we have the full moon in Aries. This is happening at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. A full moon in Aries, especially with everything that we've been going through up till now, is going to be really good for asserting yourself and for having the courage to stand up for yourself. Having to find the moment in a partnership where you have to think of yourself first. Personally, I think this will be a really great time to reflect on the idea of humility. How do we honor our humility while also honoring what we're proud of? How do we make sure our ego doesn't take over, but in a way still honor the achievements that we've made? How can we be proud of the self without being overly proud of the self? Trying to find that balance between humility and losing your sense of self is going to be a theme for this, especially because we still have that Sun square to Pluto. So where we were experiencing it 3 days before on October 17th, it's still going on during the full moon on the 20th. This is what we call a T-square, where the Sun and the moon are opposite each other, and then Pluto is squaring both of them. So where Libra and Aries need to meet each other and need to see the other's perspective and balance the other's energy out, Pluto here is giving them a little midpoint, giving them a little tension and making things a little bit more difficult because there's still this point of needing to affect change and transformation and deep healing, but it's also offering something to them. And what it's offering is the cardinal energy that all three of these planets are in. We've got Libra Sun, Aries Moon, and Capricorn Pluto. And what it's offering are leadership skills, right? All of these are in cardinal signs. So we've got the Sun in Libra, the Moon in Aries, and Pluto in Capricorn. And so trying to find the balance between you and everybody else might be that you need to see what your goals are and changing what it is that you are trying to achieve in this moment. What is it that you're trying to achieve when you're being humble, when you dismiss your achievements, when you dismiss what you've done, what you've created? Why are you doing it that way? Reflect on that this full moon. I would say to manifest new ways of honoring your creativity, your sense of self, and your identity. This full moon is going to be great for manifesting your leadership skills. If you feel like maybe you are a little bit more in the shadows and behind the scenes and you really want to charge forward and have that determination, will, and strength that Aries does have, this is a great time to manifest that. And lastly, that brings us to October 22nd, where Mars in Libra is now square Pluto in Capricorn. This is a high tension transit. We may be dealing with issues of power, of control, transformation in our sexual energies, in our confrontation. Not only that, but Neptune and the moon are also activated during this day. So there could be a tendency to act through emotion in a way that lacks clarity. We may need to check ourselves, check our feelings, and then check what is actually happening in reality, because Neptune has a tendency to cloud the vision of what is true. By remaining somewhat impartial and what you may think of as cold, some fixes to the issues that we're dealing with during this day may come up. Try and remain as objective as possible and not let your temper get the worst of you on this day. All I can say for this transit is to work through the emotion and keep your eyes on the prize. All right, that is the astrology for this week. I hope that was somewhat helpful for you. Drop in the comments what stood out to you the most, what you're looking forward to the most, what maybe you need some assistance with. And if you want a general tarot reading, then I have got the reading for you. I just posted it yesterday, so go check out that video. All right, thanks guys.